the railroad in Texas. Really, this was kind of more designed to accommodate a large base of troops here in the West that would maybe be fighting from here northward in their raids, which I had imagined might only encompass an area out west. Our main strategy, using another one of our early policies, was to use our native allies as a... Oh, there we go. Growl. Hey, bro. Hey, we see him in there. He's a Grognard member now. How about that, man? How about that? Goated. That's a $20 per month membership. He's... he and I have been palling along here on the internet digital marketplace for a good bit, and I got to say, I'm really happy to see that, man. We love bringing folks into the near and close circle of advisors on the channel. So congrats to Grau for making the commitment, and then, of course, a thank you to him as well. Huge thank you, brother. Thank you so much. We were filibustering, and we went with native allies at the very beginning of the campaign, and our raiding has been, lest we understate it, incredibly successful thus far in causing devastation. Drops in support happen as a result of this sort of thing. You can see the Yankee support has gone from in the 90s at the beginning of the war now to about 78 national support. And you can see our numbers remain quite a bit higher than theirs. All right. And their national morale is now at 51. That has everything to do with the move we made in the East, which we had set up with some major policy decisions. But the other, I think, takeaway from this raiding that we committed to doing with Indian troops, by the way, Indians and Nicaraguans, out here raiding all across the West, both in 1861 and now in 1862, although we've had to kind of pull back a bit in the last couple of few months in game. We have caused a nice little tick up in our favor in the trade war. All right, so before that raiding all started happening, their impact and their cost of the trade war between our two governments was roughly $222 million, I do believe. Now it's at $268 million. So you can see it's a fairly minimal impact, all this raiding, but I think, want to continue doing it the best I am able to, using our cavalry forces, both of which the 1st Indian Cav has pulled back here, and the 2nd Indian Cav is here kind of hiding out, although we may end up striking out once again. But you can see we've built up 2 solid forces, one of which here, the 2nd Indian Cav, has a perk. We are going to do, I think, partisan brigades, right? Skirmishing is raiding morale hit on enemies. Yep, we're going to do that for sure. Partisans, I like that idea. And so the raiding out west, I think, has really worked well for us in terms of just being something that's a stick in the Yankees' craw, a little wrench in the gears of their overall war machine. The other thing that happened throughout the campaign is just something that's fairly common. And I should state, too, difficulty level of this campaign. I went with AI difficulty set to mediocre, and then because I didn't want to give the AI any buffs. I may have changed my mind about doing that in a future campaign playthrough. Stick with me on that, of course. But then I went AI aggressiveness elevated. So the Yankees throughout the campaign thus far in-game have made moves. And they started in the campaign out east here by driving hard down toward where I had fallen back in and around Fredericksburg. And you can see there have been a number of battles in and around this area. The Yankees coming down the Potomac River and landing here at Acquia and fighting us in a couple of key battles in that area as well. We basically won just about all of them, drove them back to Washington, and have since set about really building this Eastern Army of Virginia. We have the Army of Virginia with 2 wings under Magruder and Ewell right here, both major generals. And the way we're able to keep this together, for those who are fans of the franchise and the game, who would yell at me about not having done core system just yet, is that we have a lieutenant general in command of the whole army, quote unquote. He is in command of his own force here. Lieutenant General PGT Beauregard. Major Generals Magruder and Ewell are in command of their own wings slash kind of makeshift de facto corps of the Army. And as long as these three generals are on the field together, since Beauregard outranks the other two as a lieutenant general, he and his stats will take on the part of commanding officer above everybody else. Now, somebody in the chat want to correct me on that if you want. And so the next thing would be the fact that we stormed with this army out after training through the winter months and essentially reinforcing the army with new volunteers, which ties into another piece that's important to talk about as the campaign is developed. We stormed out of the valley with all three of these forces here, blocking with Joseph E. Johnston and the Army of the Northwest. He made a nice circuitous route back down this way to Richmond and then to Acquia to block any federal movement here into our rear. He got himself in a little trouble down near Richmond and had to beat back one Yankee advance right here at this battle. But since then, we've really been kind of in situ here around D.C., which we marched into relatively unopposed with both Ewell and Magruder's wings of the Army plus the reserve, and we've just been hanging out here. We did fight one more battle in and around Annapolis. You can see the marker here. That didn't take the fort, but it did drive two Union armies here and here, all the way back into Delaware and away from the front line entirely. We still have a couple that have been recovering here. Total strength of about maybe 30,000 men, 40 guns or so. Going to have to watch out for them. But luckily, our armies in the east right now are well within supporting distance of one another. Again, catching folks up who might be a little bit newer to the stream and this campaign playthrough. This is the other thing that's important to get to right here, guys. So this was, in the very beginning, something that's very common, is that the AI will begin going on a manpower rush. Okay, and that is what the Union AI did. And they did it, I think, for specific reasons, and that would be that they know, I believe the AI is intuitive enough to know that outcomes with the breadbasket policy intact at the very beginning of the campaign will show an ability to feed larger numbers of troops in the field. So there's that. And then they had industrialization. I think intuitively the AI side knows that its war industry will be able to support larger armies. And so what the AI did was at the very beginning of the game, without going for military 1 or even industrial 1 or government funding 1 or diplomacy 1, they went straight at Militia Act 1, 2, and 3. And they beat me to number 3. And basically from the outset in 1861 through most of the rest of that year, we were racing to get to Militia Act 3. And in the meantime, I was trying to dip in and get into military subsidy spending that far outpaced the AI Yankees, and that has really borne fruit for us in a number of different ways. We have been able to complete the cavalry carbines now, plus cavalry reform. We have our legacy rifles, so we're able to produce Mississippi rifles and Plains rifles in modest numbers in the Confederacy. That's what we're really able to crank out. We're not industrializing a whole lot, at least not yet. We were able to get rebuilt ironclads, which is going to be a real key with our military subsidy spending. We were able to begin upgrading recruitment offices across the South, and that's something I want to continue as we go forward. Now, again, it's just kind of, these are the things that made the foundation of our success in 1861. We did get rifled artillery. We managed to, at the end of the campaign season in 1861, pass the Supply Reform Project, again, all using military subsidy money. And then we also did cast artillery right here, okay? So we have the ability to crank out James rifles, Napoleons, and 3-inch ordnance rifles, right? We have the ability to use our industry to crank out the cannons. The next thing we did, which was huge, and this is a really cool part of the alternate history narrative we're helping tell in this using this game and during this campaign, is that kind of after we had finished the run down to Militia 3 against the AI, and after we had put in place a nice foundation, moving subsidies all the way down to the Military 2 policy and setting ourselves up to do conscription whenever we needed to. We bipped and bobbed over here with print notes and government funding to try to shore all that up. But then we did a run straight down to supporting France in their invasion of Mexico, and we did manage to get it done just in this last month in May, and that has given us so because of the policies that we did at the very beginning of the campaign, I think it's important to talk about this. Because we did this filibustering, we stacked the deck against ourselves when it comes to any of the European powers actually joining the war for us militarily. So the best we could really ever hope for when it comes to French intervention would be weapons support. And so now that we spent that diplomatic subsidy and that effort in improving the diplomatic relations, specifically with France and helping in Mexico, we've availed ourselves to French weapons. That's after having already used diplomatic subsidies successfully as we ran down this policy tree right here to Mexico intervention. We had all kinds of diplomatic money to spend, and so we got Austrian rifles very early. So our CSA armies were armed just a tad better than the Union armies a little earlier, right? And so that happened. Plus now we'll have another wave of even, I think, better frontline standard rifled musket weaponry to give our infantrymen when we get around to French weapons, which I think I'm going to go for here sooner rather than later. It's going to cost a little bit more money. The other thing I want to go for using these new diplomatic subsidies that we're going to get, because our policy chase has taken us all the way to level 4, because now we have the ability to get, as it shows here, up to 100 million. Are you kidding me? Yeah, no, we don't need that many, at least not right now. So we're going to keep it here for now. We're going to try to keep our costs down so our credit rating doesn't go crazy. And we are going to maybe run and try to get the Gloire class warships. That's going to be, I think, 10 million in subsidy funding, which will take the, I think, the balance of this year plus maybe a little bit more. And then we'll get a couple of those delivered. And they could be some nice, again, blockade busters for us. And then maybe we do the French rifles. But I think actually I'll do the French weapons first, then Gloire class, because we're pretty close to this one. The next thing that was a big part of our war industry strategy coming to this point where we are now is the fact that this iron mine, if you've not played Grand Tactician as a CSA before, this iron mine may as well be like Fort Knox. You must have this iron if you hope at all to sustain for the longer run any kind of churning out of war industry material like cannons, modern naval vessels, locomotives, and the like. So that iron mine has been a big focus, and our industry subsidy savings, which we've not been making much with, right? Our industry subsidies only amount to 5 million, and that's now. When the game started, it was only like 2.5 million. It'll bump to 10 when we get Industry 1 passed here in just a minute. That's coming here in how long, Burke? In 8 days or so. But it's been going up slowly, and what I've been waiting to do is to upgrade this iron mine to a level 2, increase efficiency big time, increase production big time. That way, if we are blockaded to the point that we can't bring in any iron ore, then we still have something that can churn iron ore out. Now, the AI is going to know that too. One thing I've experienced in this game is the AI knows about the economic model that's operating in the background. I swear to God it does. Because every time we have come up here and taken this iron mine, and we've done it a couple of times in the campaign so far, Every time we've come up here and taken this one, the AI has come after us. And I'm telling you, every single time, like clockwork, when they have been able to do it, I should say, when the numbers and the odds and such, according to their intelligence, has been in their favor, when we've taken this iron mine, they have come and they have kicked us out. Because they don't want us to have this extra iron supply coming down through Winchester and further into the southern industry, because it will help us, I think, sustain the war effort that much longer. But at this stage, I would say there's not a whole heck of a lot that they can do about it, because the Army of Virginia has given them such a big whooping here thus far. So the other thing strategically that I did not intend to do, as you'll see in the situation report here, or at least on map, is I absolutely did not ever intend for us to give away Middle Tennessee like we kind of have. Throughout 1861, General Gideon Pillow and the Army of Tennessee was whipping the Union armies back and forth all across this part of Tennessee and southern Kentucky between Bowling Green and Nashville. Since then, bogged down with the Union offensive through the Cumberland Gap and then a follow-up offensive down through Bowling Green and into Nashville. They moved from Bowling Green south straight here in a real lightning advance and taking a railroad, which I didn't think that they were going to be able to do. I was wrong. They moved south. They crushed us here, or they forced a retreat. They attacked us again, forced us to retreat again. Now, Albert Sydney Johnston's army, the Department of the Cumberland, is here now fully reinforced with a perk available and ready to fight the Army of the Ohio at some stage. He will have help, though. And by the way, if you do take a moment to go read the description down below, you will note all of this is included in some of the lore that I like to write around these live streams. I like to try to tell a story as we play along in-game right here. It's my favorite part. It's what this channel is about, alternate history gaming. And when you go down there, you will see a link to become a member of the channel for as little as $2 a month or $5 a month at the recruit or veteran level. Let's go ahead and get this army a perk right here. They have siege train. They have now, I think, we put in maybe, let's see, what do we do? River expedition, what does this mean? Operating closely with the Brownwater Navy, this unit is used in navigating rivers and opening new fronts against enemy fortifications, guarding the waterways. River movement speed plus 25% and siege assault efficiency plus 10. Wow, okay. I think this would be a good one. Let's do this. Boom. I just think it would be good in general since we're operating in an area with Brownwater and forts and stuff. So we've already got siege train with him, and now we'll have that. We also have the fleet there. Tatnall's Ragin' Cajun Squadron. And then, so generally speaking as well, I'll keep the front lines up. That gives you a good view. I would say that I don't feel too awful bad about losing Nashville because I have gained and taken Washington, D.C., which brings me full circle back around to the idea their national morale now stands at 51, a dismal number. 51 in 1862. That's not great. That is not great at all. And that's all because they lost 20 national morale points when I took Washington, D.C. The last thing to mention as it relates to kind of our reset here, where we're going to go ahead and launch from, is the idea that I still need to find a way. I don't know how still yet, but I need to erode the Union national support to 60 or below by November. I think it's November the 4th. I need to take Louisville, plus knock all of the Union armies out of Kentucky, take St. Louis and knock all the Union armies out of Missouri in order to get those two states to secede. And I think that would maybe go a long way to helping erode national support for the war. Let's just take a look right here at support. Okay, you can see it is not so great here and here. Or up here, it's 80% when it could be much higher. Up in here, it's not that great. In here and here, It's pretty good up there, but so that makes me think that the raiding should continue while we can do it. I was considering a move to bring cavalry over here to reinforce Albert Sydney Johnston, but Pillow's on his way. But I think that brings us into... I think that brings us kind of to the current time. I think that covers everything, for the most part, that has transpired thus far. I've got a lot more stuff that I need to keep an eye on, of course. One of the main things, and I think we've managed to pull the move off, is to start down here. Let's get these boys. Oh, here we go. Starting off with a little history note. Treaty of Saigon. An empire expanding. French influence increases. The French... Excuse me. Woo, that voice gets to rocking. The French Cochinchina campaign, which started in September 1858, has been officially concluded in the Treaty of Saigon, signed today, June the 5th. Okay, so the French aren't as entangled in Southeast Asia now. I guess that's good for us. But let's get back to our business. USA, the 3rd CSA engineers under Mr. Deschler, are to begin building a fort, if you can, around here. Could you do it out this way? There we go, right there. Okay, fort construction. Let's do that. Next thing is, I think, the Army of Tennessee under Pillow right here. I think we're going to move them by rail right up outside Murfreesboro. And I'm going to let this go just a bit. I'm going to let the Union forces here, I'm going to go like maybe 2 weeks or so, maybe a little less, and try to recover morale for Pillow and readiness, because they were just involved in a big battle up here to drive McClellan and his Department of the Ohio back into Kentucky from the Cumberland Gap. We finally kind of broken things open there. Hardee remaining behind, which brings me to the next thing. Okay. Fort Leasure. Fort Leasure. I keep going back and forth. Here, we need to add guns to this fort, and we'll bring them in from, if we can, Kentucky. We sure can. Excellent. Support is low, but that's all right. We'll do 90 of them. They'll be gray and light blue, and let's do another one. These are cheap too, by the way, so that's why I like doing these. We'll do another one from Kentucky. We'll say these boys were inspired to come join the Southern ranks after the troops under McClellan marched through their home state. Yeah, I think so. I took Baltimore. I think Philly will be coming up soon enough. Oh, and so I have to address Phil. That's impressive. Your numbers were impressive there that you were talking about at the very beginning. That's impressive. You know, maybe we'll get there. Maybe we'll get there. Okay, 6-pounders once again. Russell. Let's get back into Fort Leasure Garrison, and let's get one more battery in there from Kentucky. We'll have this one be a smaller battery. That'll be fine. You know, like that. There'll be butternut and light blue. Yep, good. So now we're going to have to go back again, and we're going to go uppy grady. Let's go 12-pound howitzers in the forts, and that'll be just fine. I think I'd like to reserve most of our real good stuff for the field armies, at least for a little while going forward here. Excuse me. Howitzers, howitzers, howitzers. All right, so then next we're going to make sure we got all the right commanders here. Again, we do not want Maxey he needs to be reserved for an infantry command. Let's go volunteer from Kentucky artillery. Anybody? Hey, Robert Cobb, a volunteer. Okay, he's not an artilleryman, but he's a volunteer from Kentucky. William Breckinridge. Let's go Breckinridge for one of them. Russell, volunteer from Kentucky. Wharton. Oh, Captain John Wharton? Wow. He's pretty famous, too. Another Kentucky volunteer. So sure enough, I would say we need to... So Wharton gets discovered as a captain. He's going to become an artillery commander in Pillow's army. We're going to do that right now. That's a little story we can tell. I like how, I love how we able to do that. Professional artillery commander who's going to take over for now. William Jones. Oh my, we don't want him in the fort. We don't want any of these guys in the fort. We're just going to let it be a political guy. Joseph Lewis. Okay. So now, in Pillow's Army of Tennessee, right here, bump, bump, bump. Let's add another reserve battery, question mark? No, we'll bring one more into Zollicoffer's division, and we'll have them be from Georgia. We're kind of close to Georgia, I think. Like this, boom. And they'll be under... Oh, that's right. No, they would have to be from Kentucky or something, right? Shoot. Oh, that's a I can't. Okay, so, gosh darn it. Okay. So can I delete that unit? Delete that unit. Okay, yeah. So let's do this again. Let's go boom, and let's go Kentucky artillery. Let's go boom right here, all across the way. Maxie, no. Give me a volunteer. Who are those guys again? Yes, Grigsby. Warren Grigsby. He's good. Let's go with him. All right, so now Grigsby will command a battery of Napoleons in Pillow's army under Zollicoffer. He'll be a new talent we found. I don't think it's the same guy that we were looking at before. But oh well, is what I'm going to go with on that. Is here, okay. All right, here we come with Pillow in Middle Tennessee. We're back to solid readiness right here with Tatnall. I would say we keep him here. All right, new bonds issued. We were at B+ for just a second there. Finishing the depot over here, we had the Army of the Missouri on the move. Let's see here. Phil, appreciate it. Appreciate it, man. I prefer to discover these things on my own. Thank you, thank you. And I'm also considering whether it might be time to make a move out this way. Oh, yep, we had to do this too. Come on now. And we got to do it with this squadron too. Patrolling, patrolling, patrolling. Right. The next battle is either happening here or here. And I'll tell you this too. This Indian Cav, I think it's time for them to get back on the move again. We're in the green. Let's come through Cairo again. Let's get up to Evansville, actually. So let's go to here. Okay. That would be the 1st Indian Cav. 3,600 troopers. And then let's get the 2nd Indian Cavalry out here. Yeah, we're having to rebuild all that, huh? Let's go all the way out to here. Army of the West. 3,400 troops. Ooh, maybe we'll have a battle there. That'd be kind of a neat thing. Although I'm not sure I'd want to fight a field battle with that few troops. I'll be honest with you. You know what? I love what you're saying there about Jackson. That's for sure. He's coming back. I just know it. And then the other one is that the other son of Robert E. Lee, who is, oh, by the way, how could I forget? As kind of a catch up on the reset, on the here's what's going on, the down low, is the people who are dead and wounded. All right, so wounded in action right now. We still have Holmes out, Jackson from the very beginning of the game. First battle, he was out. Here you go, June 6th, wounded in action at the Battle of Fredericksburg. Okay, that was our very first battle. McNair, Pierce, coming. Okay, so then look at KIA, though, for those that are new. Lee, Bragg, Hood, Heath, Pickett, dead. So, alternate history indeed, right here. And in the East, like I say, we're kind of left with like okay, well, what do we do now? We could try to go for Philly. It's just, I'm not just going to sit here and leave all these guys behind. I don't think that would be a smart thing to do. With their forts being here like this, we'd have to secure our rear, and we just, that's a long way to go away from our main supply bases. If we turned everybody into like another, a scattering of small raiding forces, like if we were to take Magruder's wing and we were to crack it open and break it up into the 3 divisions and have each of the divisions wander off up this way, we could do that. It's just that they would get counterattacked for sure here or from here. The AI would isolate one of those groups. At least that's the way I see things right now. I think holding in Maryland is just kind of the smart thing to do, generally speaking. We'll go ahead and go into defensive posture with everybody here. We'll go ahead and let's get to scouting here. Yeah, we're doing it. And then these two, they can be chilling so that they can quickly support Ewell or more quickly support him. We have to turn that depot on all the time, by the way. We did upgrade this thing, I think. Yeah, it's being upgraded. And then, yeah, we do have an army out here. All right, here comes Pillow. Let's see here. I think I want to bring them, because we do have that army here, right? They've got a road, the Army of Pennsylvania, which the last intel is from February. I imagine this army may be way weaker now. Do we have any cavalry with Hardee? We do not. That is actually Henry McCulloch, and I wanted to replace him with Earl Van Dorn if I could. Can I? Because I replaced Van Dorn. Where is Van Dorn? All right. All right. I say we need to transfer some of this Indian cav. All right. Forrest will be transferred with 900 men. And he will go to the Department of East Tennessee. Bonk. Get there in 10 days. All right, now the 1st Indian Cav will get back into its offensive stance and a raid. Move across to here. Keep the raid going. Doing the same over this way with George B. Anderson and his Indian Raiders. Looking good, looking good. Looking good. Get those toes tapping, boys. Here we are at a B+ now, right? Which means, in my opinion, right after this, we have to do this. And then we have to do this or this. Probably this. Yeah, we're going to give this just a little time. We want to protect our hospital here, too. I'll tell you what. Let's have Pillow move to here. And we'll put Nashville back under our control. That'll go well. That'll go well indeed. All right, we got a storm moving in. How about it, gentlemen? Yeah, we lost Lee in the Battle of Annapolis. Oh, hello. The Department of Pennsylvania is here. I guess with 9,500 men. Interesting. Let's go back to offensive and let's try to swipe them. The Army of the Potomac down here. That the Department of Pennsylvania was there, I think. Okay, now they're going to get out of here. Let's come at him with Magruder. And let's take Ewell and switch him to offensive and the Army headquarters. If there's a battle here, I think they might get help right here. I think they might get help up here. We'll see. Let's get him out of a scout for now. They're wanting to try to capture back some of this industry, I'm pretty sure. Let's bring these boys closer. Go ahead, take the railroad. Yeah, they're going to get out of here. My guess is they'll move down this way. Yeah, just kind of swiping all of this. We don't, you know, guessing the Yankees are trying to kind of recon and strength right here. Got a question in the chat there about Florida's role in this Civil War. Well, I would say it was minimal. I think it was strategically important. The Union knew that because they held on to Fort Pickens down here outside Pensacola. That was an important deep water port. Same thing as Mobile and New Orleans. There just wasn't as much wagon, railroad, and foot traffic coming through Pensacola as there was through New Orleans or Mobile. And really the same thing can be said across the entire state of Florida at this time. Generally speaking, low population, unfriendly, the Everglades right here. You know, not going to do anything with that. Not going to do anything with much of the swamp area here. Not much to cultivate. You did have farmland and things, timber production, and salt production up here. So, honestly, I would say strategically, Florida gets undervalued a little bit because salt is really important to any war effort. It helps preserve your army's food. And yeah, Florida troops, there was a brigade, I think it was under Pryor out east. There was a brigade of Florida troops that were part of, at one time I think it was 3rd Corps, late in the war. Okay, here they go. You got both of them moving this way. Very well. We're going to go yellow. We're going to leave that depot in place for now. We're going to bring Price north. Army of the West. We're going to go ahead and fall back to here. Come on into Arkansas, boys. Come on in. Love for them to try to chase this way. And then we take Price and we invade Missouri again. Let's get the Indian Cav going again here. Let's come up to these farms. Are they all destroyed? Or being built or something? That's interesting. Or maybe that's just map graphics that I'm mixing up. We're defensive right here. Good. We're not taking Nashville back right now. It's because we're not on it. All right, here we go. More movement in the east. You got the Army of the Shenandoah, Army of Northeastern Virginia are going to combine to do something. I think they're going to try to come after Frederick right here. They're going to try to put a little pressure on. So with the clock running, we are overnight. So I wonder what we should go for here. I think maybe, you know, it's what Napoleon would do, is to take the entire army and move at him. So take Magruder's wing, and we're going to get him moving right away on a double quick. Boom. Then we're going to take Beauregard, and he's going to get moving, but he's going to do it tomorrow. All right, and then Ewell, I'm going to just keep an eye on and wait. We're going to go here via rail tomorrow. Boom. That might not have worked. We're going to stay in defensive with him. And then these boys, make sure we're not doing anything like scouting or whatever. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to try to drive these guys back into Pennsylvania. And then maybe we get out of D.C., you know, we're going to have to watch it right here. I would say the Army of the Northwest might just go boom right here. Take river movement straight across there. Bonk. Stay in defensive and keep these guys honest across Acquia Landing into this part of Maryland. We continue invading the Maryland shores. Ah, there we go. Okay. Yep. This is going to take a little while, I think, this move. We should probably change their orders. Let's go ahead and stop for now. We are approaching our objective here. All right. These guys are moving. I think maybe they intercept. We'll see. How's our intel now? 3,400 troops and 20 guns. Wow. Ooh, I'll tell you what. It would be worth it to get into a tactical battle up here to try and take some guns away from them. That would be some fun. Yeah, Perry's brigade. There you go. Anderson. Yeah. Golly. All right, we're at single B plus, and it's all because of this fort we're building down here, I'm pretty sure. We need that government funding to kick in quick. Oh, right, we got to push play. All right, let's go. Here we go. Oh, 31 days. Paul. Here comes the Army of Shenandoah. And then what we gonna have down here? We're going to have a big old battle around Frederick. Looks like what we might have here. Here comes Magruder. Very well. All right, we're going to go switch to... We're going to switch to offensive right now. And then I think we may have ourselves a battle. Army of Northwest moves into Maryland right here across Acquia Landing. Good. We do not want to get into a battle with this fort. Good. We're going to camp out right there. Very good. They did take back this depot, looks like. Excellent. And here we go, gentlemen. Right here. Let's see if they stick. This is going to be Irvin McDowell in command this time around. Okay. We'll be starting with Magruder's wing. And it'll be evening time moving into the beginning of this battle. We'll run up against the fairly strong Army of Shenandoah first. I think this will be a meeting engagement. Boy, I don't think their intel was so great here. This campaign, the Maryland campaign right here, boys. It'll be Beauregard, our famed Lieutenant General and hero of the East, the destroyer of D.C., against Irvin McDowell in this next major battle. Can't wait to get to it. Let's get to it, boys. Here we go. I don't think this will be hugely consequential. What we want to do right here, most likely anyway, is just set about killing a whole bunch of Yankees. That's kind of long and short of it. Let's kill or capture a whole bunch of Yankees. Let's make a new problem for ourselves. Too many prisoners to house. Let's do that. I like that idea. We got nearly 60,000 men. They got about 30. So we got them almost 2-to-1 here. I'm afraid McDowell's fallen to some pressure here from D.C. that could be trouble. Could mean trouble. could be a little dose of that trouble that you don't like, the not good trouble. So let's do this. We will deploy. We are attacking. Okay. Irvin McDowell, 0 men, 0 guns. So we don't know how much quite they have. Okay, got it. They're not giving us a big deployment area. Dadgummit. We have fought on this map before, 2 times before, as a matter of fact. Oh, here, nice. They're bringing us in 2 different locations, so they're giving us our 2 wings of the Army. Right off the bat, we will gather once again in this area, but we will be fighting over here. Cigar Fund and the W says Wilson on a $5 Super Chat donation. Thank you, sir. Thank you. You are the best, my man. We need to capture all of the Yankees that we can. And I will likely, since we know a lot of the time the way the Yankees AI will operate, and that is to really just gather around this objective. We're going to have plenty of time in the rest of the stream here, I think, to fight this battle and prosecute the attack the way that we would like. So let's get Magruder. I do this in my usual style. We will have Lawton's division, who has taken over for Lee, by the way, after Lee died. Okay, so Lawton will be out front. Vaughn comes next in Magruder's wing. Let's bring the artillery reserve onto the road here. There we go, right here. Oh, also, I was going to ring a friend here and see if perhaps he wants to jump on. Let's see if Growl wants to jump on and hang while we fight this battle here. He can also tell us kind of what he's been up to. He became a Grognard member tonight, so you better believe he gets to hang sometimes. Growl, let me know when you're in, bro. Let's see if he joins. We've got Reynolds. Say we got Magruder at the crossroad. We've got Mouton in his reserve engineer brigade. And we got all this here. Good. Perfect. You know, we could do something fun and interesting. We could. Except our options are just limited, so we won't. We will not do something fun and interesting. We will just do the normal approach here. So we shall see. Yeah. Yeah. No getting licked by me, sir. No. I do all of the licking. Jones. He'll come on out. D.R. Jones has been a good division for us. Walton has been solid. Are you there?
Yeah.
Are you here?
Can you hear me, man?
I can hear you. I can hear you now. I can hear you. Growl is with us.
Perfect.
Hey, man. Welcome in. Are you getting along splendidly tonight, sir?
I am, sir.
Thank
you for asking.
You betcha. So happy to have my man in tonight. So what you doing, dude? We're here fighting a battle in the East. By the way, I don't know if you already knew, but I'm the Confederates in Grand Tactician, and I'm winning the war. I'm winning the war. What do you think?
I do. I did see that on your stream.
Would you agree? Would you agree with that?
With the South winning?
With that I am winning the war right now, or would you have like a? Would you be like, hey, wait? Would you like, wait, bro? We can't say that you're winning yet.
Well,
it's
62 right now, isn't it?
It's June 1862. Yeah, it's June 1862. And the Union national morale is at 51, while mine is at 96. That would be the overall look, I suppose you might say.
Well, you know, it can be kind of tough because one of those things that Grand Tactician doesn't do is model the sheer relentlessness and tenacity of Lincoln during this conflict.
You know, that's true.
Like Lincoln was just he was not having it, man. It's like, no, we're not gonna lose this war.
Yeah, you know, that's an interesting idea. I think that it was fanciful at the time, and it remains fairly fanciful now for those who I think are the Southern sympathizers, the Confederate sympathizers, the ones who want to see the South rise again or what have you, to have ever really expected Lincoln to have any quit in him. I think maybe they underestimated him, or underestimated him at the time, underestimate him as maybe they don't know as much about him as they should have. I mean, that guy, he was kind of in it when it started, in it for the long haul.
Well, politically, it's kind of an odd question. Like, you have to have a few things locked in, right? You have to have, like, right around when you have battles like Shiloh and Antietam, like these really big, costly fights. I mean, it's really easy to forget that the Confederacy had a high watermark right up until Vicksburg and Gettysburg. Okay. So until those two pivotal battles and campaigns, there was a real chance the Confederacy could win it. Because what you're really trying to do is convince the North, or at least the northern people, to vote Lincoln out of office.
And get the Republicans out and undermine the war effort, essentially, right?
Right, which was very possible up until after you lose Vicksburg and you lose Gettysburg. If you're able to win those two battles, you're continuing the trend of the Confederacy just beating the crap out of the North.
Just being better at fighting battles, right?
Right. So there's a chance to win it until after those two fights. Then you can get into some various other campaign strategies and so on and so forth that would just add to that. It's such a subjective question because it really depends on what you think, and by you I mean a given person, right?
And I think
It really
it's
depends
also
on
judged
what.
a little bit about how much you know about Lincoln. It like originally there was, I think, a lot of passion to some degree, like maybe someone call it false patriotism, but the idea about I'm going to get the uniform on and pick up a musket in order to defend the Union that my grandfathers built. And
Sure. Yep.
that's kind of what Lincoln was about initially.
Well, the big thing about Lincoln is that this guy is not going to stop until the government's until the average northerner decides to tell him to stop, and the only way you do that is by voting him out.
Right. And that was always so. Do you honestly think that? So that's it applies a little bit. It's relevant to the campaign that I'm fighting here. It's really hard to try to get a win through the I should say a de facto win through the midterm system in the game, where you try to bring the Union national support number below 60 so that the Democrats win the midterms in 1862. It's I thought I might have figured out how to get it, but I was wrong in what I was calculating and which measurement I was going by. And so in history, would it have ever been possible, you think, for there to have been enough success by the CSA to convince voters to go with Democrats in 1862 and not 1864?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, you had Shiloh and Antietam, which by those standards, and of course later we'd have much bloodier battles, but historically speaking, Antietam and Shiloh are, up to that point, the bloodiest battles in American history.
Correct. Right. Shiloh is, Shiloh is the one that's kind of like, oh shit.
Yeah.
For everybody.
So historically speaking, Americans had never seen anything like that before. So then, right around that time period, you have low morale in general in the North, right? And in the South too, because it was just so costly.
Yeah. State support in the South starts to erode after those battles a little bit. It was kind of just like a little dose of reality for everybody.
Well, it's because after that you start to have generals like Grant really start to pick up some steam. You start to have little successes here and there that kind of bolster the morale. And then all of a sudden, 63 swings around, and you get Vicksburg and Gettysburg, and then the whole thing just switches.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that, of course, convinces Lincoln that remaining steadfast is the right course. I don't know, like you talk about, whether or not it's like if McClellan had somehow been pushed into the bay and his army virtually destroyed after the 7 days, or following upon that, Pope, I think that brings into the conversation the idea of whether or not a mid-19th century American Civil War army could ever truly have ever been like crushed.
Well, it really depends, because like that's a difficult one. I mean, I'd have to think about that for a second, because the problem is that it's not like, heck, even if you go as far back as the Napoleonic Wars, right?
Even then,
you have to define what a decisive battle is. Right. Now, if we're talking in terms of entire armies being destroyed or virtually destroyed, you don't see it in the Napoleonic Wars either.
Not much.
Now, do you have
Napoleon had a penchant for wrecking an enemy army. I think
in the early Napoleonic Wars?
that's right. That's
yes.
right. That's right.
It's because mainly because no one had ever experienced that kind of maneuver and doctrine before.
That's right. They were all like,
But
whoa, whoa.
Right. I mean,
whoa.
it's so new.
Yeah.
But once they get it figured out, it's nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's when Napoleon's biggest successes stop. But we can make the comparison to the Civil War to a Napoleonic War because it's mainly a Napoleonic War more than it ever was a modern war. The only modern components you have to the American Civil War is logistics and production, especially locomotives and the industrial capacity in the North.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what makes it a more modern war to a degree. But when it comes to the actual fighting of it, the tactics, the doctrine, it is most definitely Napoleonic.
And again, this idea that, so I know, and what we're talking about generally, by the way, we've got Grau in tonight, a new Grognard member of the channel. Big thanks to him, of course, and I'll say it right to you, man. So huge for you offer. That's level support, man. So thank you, man.
No worries, man. I mean, I've been talking about it for a while, so I figured, let's just do it.
Yeah. Hey, you know me, man. I could use all that. So we're talking a little bit about how likely it might ever have been for the CSA to be in a position to put such a clobbering on the Union forces that voters would have essentially rebuked the Lincoln administration in 1862. We're talking through that a little bit. And part of the concept involved with that is, I think, if they'd have, I would presume anyway, and maybe there's an argument here or a debate, a discussion as it were, that it would have that it would have ever been possible to actually to realize Robert E. Lee's vision of eradicating, destroying, and eliminating Yankee Union armies, whether or not that was just a fanciful idea that just did not match up with reality. And we're kind of talking through some of that. And I think the idea thus far from you has been like, yeah, maybe it was unrealistic.
I wouldn't call it maybe unrealistic, definitely unrealistic. It's just mainly because of how war was fought back then. Linear warfare does not produce destruction in whole armies. It just doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
The only way, man, I doubt you could pull that off, especially in a Civil War context.
I have my doubts now too. I thought that I might be able to do it here in this game. I just don't know if I believe it anymore.
Well, that's the thing about a game, like a video game or a board game or whatever else. It creates the conditions for something that wouldn't happen in reality, but can happen now. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Like a video game creates the conditions that makes that possible.
Right.
When it isn't possible in reality.
I think that, so kind of on that, dovetailing on that point about what you could do maybe with Grand Tactician would be, I think that you would have to start the Confederate campaign with a couple of the policy choices made differently. I think that you would have to have, and this one was like, this is one, this leads us off into another piece of the conversation as all around the whole Civil War and everything, is that you would have to have an industrialized South in Grand Tactician. You would have to have the ability for the South to match or outpace the North in manpower and industrial production capacity early in the war, like we're talking about trying to beat them in 1862. And I feel like it would require these massive leaps in alternate history in order to even make it like remotely plausible that you could put that much of a beating on the AI Union force in order to win in 1862.
I can't speak for Grand Tactician specifically, mainly because I just don't have as many hours into it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can say historically is that the Confederacy, as is, can beat the North. You
Beat
just have to
it.
change.
Yes.
You have to change your doctrine, and you have to change your overall strategy. Okay. Now the problem with that, and this is where we get into a little bit of debate and a little bit of controversy, depending on who you are,
Right.
because depending on who you are and what your preferred tactics and strategies are on the topic. Me, for example, I kind of more align with the Longstreet way of thinking. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Fight a lot of tactically defensive. Now, tactical defense doesn't mean operational defense. Okay. You can fight an operationally offensive campaign, but fight a defensive battle. Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's a lot of maneuver involved in that, and this is where you kind of starting to get to the more controversial end of it, because the Southern culture at the time when it came to warfare was really Celtic, very aggressive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you were
Yeah.
doing so if you were fighting a really patient and defensive, then tactically, let me emphasize that, tactically defensive. When you're fighting a really patient and tactically defensive war, it kind of eats at you a little bit when you have that culture, because you feel like you have the need to go on the offensive, to attack. Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense?
Mm-hmm. It's true. And that was the case. The military culture of the time carried over a whole lot of the legacy concepts that worked in the Napoleonic era. And I think that there's a reason for that. But as it relates to kind of what I think you're discussing is with Longstreet, he understood how war was changing. And this feeds into that idea of whether or not it might have actually been truly possible to actually destroy a modern army in this in this particular conflict. And I
Well,
think that it would have been as difficult as you say.
If I may, real quick, because I am seeing a couple comments about
Yeah,
being able to.
Chickamauga, I think, is a decent example about how
Well,
maybe it would have been possible. Maybe in that one, possibly.
I want to comment. I want to comment to those kind of comments specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's another element to this that gets overlooked. So even if you break a front line, right, or you get a whole section of. Oh, 1 second, man.
Yeah, yeah. Here, we're just going to go ahead and set up a little bit here. Because they're right across the way. They're going to be gathered around here. And there's only one way to get to them. Except we could flank down this way. Oof. I feel like we should just force a crossing and come right at them, so I feel like we should do. We got Beauregard and the rest of the Army Reserve. They've got all the cavalry with them. Yeah, and I would use cavalry if my army had it. I don't have any cavalry right now. So what we'll do
Okay, I'm back.
is...
Sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm visiting my parents, and I didn't want to be rude. I wanted to make sure I said goodnight to my dad when he went up.
No problem at all. No problem at all. No problem at all.
As I was saying, though, when it comes to these battles like Chickamauga and Shiloh, I mean, you may have an army up against some bad terrain or something like that, right? But here's the thing. That doesn't mean the army's out. Okay, even beaten units can reform and keep fighting you, especially when they're desperate, right? So when you go into like Bull Run was
when they're up against it. When they're up against it.
Yeah, like Bull Run was kind of a one-off like that. Okay, Bull Run is a bad example to carry forward. Because at Bull Run, no one knew anything about warfare whatsoever. None of these guys were professionally trained, either the officers or the line troops, okay, except for the regulars.
Well, there were a bunch of West Pointers and guys who'd been in the Mexican War that
Right.
were on
But
the
as
field
far
as leaders that day. They had an
right,
idea. Okay.
right.
But what I'll do
But
is
as
I'll
far
give
as
you that
the
fact about the non-commissioned guys and everybody else for sure.
right, which is why the Union position totally collapsed into a mass rout at Bull Run.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like Bull Run was kind of the perfect storm. That isn't going to happen usually in a battlefield. It'll happen during the medieval period and stuff like that, but for different factors, okay, for different reasons. But you don't see that later. It happens at Waterloo because the entire French army realizes that they're basically surrounded.
Mm-hmm. And they panic and they run.
Right.
And
things
there's one
don't
example of
usually
how
happen.
it did happen, but, you know, again, it's just so rare. It's just so rare.
Right. So we could say, oh, you know, at Chickamauga they had them, or at Chancellorsville they had them. Well, the thing about Chancellorsville is that you don't have a full envelopment.
Never
and your
did.
army's starting to get fought
Never
out.
did.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't have the troops to pull off a full envelopment either way as the Confederates. You just don't have the troops.
The best that they could have ever hoped for was to somehow figure out, and it's just hard to do, is whole hog capture that portion of the army that they were pinching out around Chancellorsville, right? By May the 3rd. They had a chance maybe to go ahead and rout, kill, or capture a whole bunch of, I think it was 3rd Corps or something, around Chancellorsville.
You can take the salient. Like, you can win that battle even further by taking the salient.
Right.
But you're not gonna rout and destroy the entire army. Mm-hmm. You may take the field, but you're not going to destroy the army.
It's just too big. The army's just too big.
Right. Both armies are too big. Even if the Union flipped it around on them, still not going to happen.
Right.
There's a lot of factors that go into that, because you have to remember too that there's a lot of friction. The enemy has a say.
Right. Right.
So they're going to put up as good a fight as they got, especially if they're in a bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
Because the men don't want to die. And you're going to fight as hard as you absolutely possibly can to keep from dying, especially when you're a veteran, because at that point you understand, you're used to it, and you're like, look, I'm going to win this fight.
And that's kind of
basically what's going through your head.
That's what's going through. Yeah, exactly.
There's command friction, battlefield friction, the fog of war, maneuver, all of these things that can happen in the interim. Those mass routes that we see in fiction and read about in history are actually really rare. It's important to remember that the reason why those things got written about and talked about in these stories is because it was so astounding.
There you go. I love that you point that out. It never really happened. Like it was really like the generals would take their orders to their guys and they would say, like, I want you to go up there. I want you to take those flags, kill or capture, and you're gonna, you're gonna take a whole bunch of guys for us, and we're gonna destroy their army. And I think that there were a lot of fanciful ideas about it, but I gotta believe that
Chickamauga is actually a really good example of my next point. More than likely, the whole army is going to take off at once. They're going to do so orderly and while still fighting the last of the battle.
Because
Chickamauga is a really good example of a battle that's been lost, but the defeated army simply leaving.
And they do an organized rear guard action,
Right. So
because they kind of by that time knew what they were doing as it relates to that stuff.
Right. And the only way you're going to pull off a full destruction of an army or just a complete total mass surrender like that is if you have the entire army surrounded. Now, you have to think of that in terms of a 19th century when it comes to coordination, because we don't have radios, we don't have any of that kind of stuff, right? So you have to think about it in terms of how do you coordinate something like that?
Right.
And have it all happen at the same time.
Exactly. Like an enveloping movement in and of itself in and of itself would have probably been a little bit difficult to actually make happen in as coordinated a way as it would have taken to actually to affect the destruction of an army.
Right. It's difficult to do now, even in modern warfare. World War II is another one, an example of all of those kind of fights. Even if you bust through with a blitzkrieg tactic like the Germans did, the army as a whole, with the exception of, far outclassed armies like the Polish and so on and so forth. But if you have kind of two peer armies, even if you bust through their line, all you're doing is forcing them to displace and redeploy. You're not destroying anything.
Exactly right. You will go forward and you will break the enemy line. Well, that's really all it means, is you're just going to break the line, and then you have to. There's much more work to be done at that point. Is kind of what you're saying right there with that.
And Hammerable, the Hammerable vending machine in the chat, he's got it 100% right. Soldiers fighting to protect their homes will fight 5 times harder than soldiers in invading a foreign land. He is absolutely correct.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say I disagree. I think that he's right in the sense that I think there would have been a greater chance for the Southern armies to affect a destruction of one Union army between 1861 and 1862. I think the chances would have been greater.
Well, if they pulled it off, if they had pulled it off, they would have pulled off a literal military miracle that is almost unheard of in the 19th century.
And I think the chances of that probably would have been higher if they would have been on the strategic defensive and not the strategic offensive at any real point. I think that the idea that the Southern war planners had about how it would be important to essentially just try as best they can to bleed the North out of the war was an important aspect, and that the attacks into the North realistically and historically might have been a mistake. I think that may be something that could be argued.
Well, that has a backing. That has some historical precedent to it. And vending machine agrees with you on that point, where because he talks about the northward expansion of the conflict, should have kept it in the South, and the North would have eventually sued for peace. And he's right, but there's some more aspects to that. From some other books that I've read in terms of casualty counts and so on and so forth, right? So in all those big victories that we read about for the South winning, right? They either lost more troops than the North or had close to the same amount of casualties. Even though they won the battle, they had similar casualties.
Yeah, right. I think that's an important thing to point out. As a matter of fact, I was watching a discussion on a podcast not too awful long ago. And what folks I don't think really consider is that when you were a soldier in Lee's army, it was a 73% chance of you becoming a casualty.
Right.
73. And I think that was almost as much as 18 to 20% higher than for being a Union soldier at the time.
Well, here's another one about Gettysburg, right? We all know they had about 52 to 55,000 casualties at Gettysburg. I think it was 53. But here's the thing. If you split that in half down the middle, which it just about was, okay, you end up with, let's say it's 25,000 each side dies, okay, or becomes a casualty, right? Well, 25,000 of 79,000 versus 25,000 of 90,000, totally different numbers when you put it into a different perspective. Absolutely. We could say, they had equal casualties. Well, yeah, except Lee, by the size of his army, had it worse off. Because he lost
but it was every time, too.
Right.
So it was always a percentage disadvantage for them.
Right. But in terms of actual casualties lost, at Gettysburg, Lee loses a third of his army, but Meade only loses a quarter. You see what I mean?
Yeah. And it was...
so this is...
And that's, of course, that's an argument in favor of what you prefer, which is, again, the tactical defensive.
Right. The reason
and I know that.
The reason why The reason why is because there's also some more historical precedent. In every battle that the Confederacy made an attack, in an offensive battle, every one of them, they took the same casualties or more as an average. It didn't always happen, but as an average.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you're the South, that's very bad. You do not have the manpower pool to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The military aged male population in the North, God, was like, even by 63, if I'm remembering from the census correctly, was like 2 million of military age males.
That's right.
But by the time you get to 1863, almost everybody from the South is fighting in the war.
Mm-hmm.
So you do not have the manpower to fight a war like that. The South literally bled itself to death.
Never did have the manpower to fight so aggressively. Like I say, I think that there's an argument to be made for that. I don't love it myself because I've always been one. You and I have talked privately about it a million times. That there was, there is no time. Like the clock was against the South, which was the thing that was pressing on
Not
Lee's mind the
necessarily.
most. It's like the clock is against us. They could sit back and chill for 2 or 3 years while they build up their armies and industrial capacity and then come get us. The clock is not in our favor.
It would seem to be, right? But here's the thing. Lincoln wants the South. Okay? He's going to order it because he wants the war finished. He wants the South back into the Union, right? So from the top at the commander-in-chief level, he's saying, you will attack. And as the attacking nation, if you want to just to give them a separation, right? As two nations, two sides. The North being the attacking side operationally and strategically after Fort Sumter, them being the attacking side, the onus is on them to do the fighting.
Right.
So while we could say, they're on the clock.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but so is the Union. The onus is on the North to attack. The South doesn't have to.
That's true. In order for the South to be subdued, the North was always going to have to come to the South. I think that's probably fair to say that.
Right.
But I would say too, I'm not. So that gets us into a discussion about whether or not the Anaconda Plan maybe should have been followed because it might have worked.
Well, and I want to mention something to you real quick too. I know sometimes I come up with some really well-reasoned arguments, but I do want to mention to you that doesn't mean your arguments are bad.
Yeah, for sure,
okay?
for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you don't come up with good points because you have in the past in our private conversations.
I try to, I try to keep it lively. I try to keep it lively.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we may be in combat here before too much longer in the game. We'll see.
On that, mainly because the only thing I have is your stream, and it's got a little bit of a time delay. So by the time you mention something in the battle, I'm not going to know what you're talking about.
Oh shoot! Okay.
Well. So then the question is, do you do a screen share on Discord, or how do you want to do that?
Yeah, I suppose I could do that. Let's see here. Let's do this one, right?
Well, let us see.
Can you see it?
I see it. Now, hold on. Don't say anything for the time being because I want to make sure that I'm live with you. Okay.
I think you are.
So just stop doing something at the moment you do it. Okay, your cursor is on a road and there's a blue shield to the north.
I'm moving to the right. I'm moving to the left.
I see it. Okay, I'm live with you.
All right. Now, please withhold the urge to tell me everything I should be doing.
No, dude, you're good.
That would be a real dick move. I'm just kidding.
No, you're good.
Appreciate you.
No, you're the guy in command. I'm not going to tell you how to do it.
Thank you. There'd be so many folks who'd be so eager. You got to do this. You got to do that.
Now, if you have a question and want advice or a recommendation,
Now,
okay, I'll happily give it.
if if you hadn't noticed it before, and everybody watching now too, I'd say the plan here is going to be we set ourselves up a little blocking force right here at the river crossings, and then we're going to take Ewell's Corps and the other Army Reserve, and we're going to bring everybody this way, and we're going to slowly work our way up this gigantic hill through the woods. Now, this is a little ahistoric, but the reason I am allowing this for myself, because normally, this is something that's worth talking about too. I don't think people appreciate this enough. When you look at the big battle maps of the Civil War battlefields, and whether that's Gettysburg or Antietam or whatever battles it is, the thing I think you got to realize about these guys that's almost no different than the way things are now is that it all ends up starting with the infrastructure, and your avenues of attack follow where the roads go. It's like, you're not going to send a corps of troops traipsing off through the middle of the woods and up the side of a mountain. Like, go up that way. The enemy's up there somewhere. I promise.
Even that's especially true in modern warfare, especially with all of our mechanized and armored forces that we use these days.
Right.
Yep. I mean, you may have a battle being fought on overland terrain, but as far as how the armies got there, no. They use the infrastructure.
Right. And it would be when they would clash, it would happen usually, somewhere along one of the roads, at least at first. Right. And then the battle would kind of develop out from there, pretty much.
Right, exactly.
So I was going to explain what I'm going to allow myself here is I'm going to be able to cross here, right? And then you have on this side one river, the other side the creek. And so I would want to believe anyway that you could figure out how to follow one bank or the other bank.
Oh, sure you could. Yeah.
Right? And do it by the left or by the right.
Mm-hmm. Use it like a landmark.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, you could totally do that. And I do want to mention too, as far as why battles happen near infrastructure or armies arrive on infrastructure, it's not just because it's easier to move troops around on infrastructure. It's also because of navigation. Remember, we don't have radios or satellites or anything like that.
Yep.
In this period. So if you have to think about it, okay, how am I going to move this army across this region? Well, the only thing you have is a map, and the only thing on that map is roads.
Mm-hmm. And
so it's also for navigational purposes.
And whereas, when I'm talking to my superiors about where I am and what roads I have laid out my forces close to, that piece is also important. The roads were a key focal point. The I think people undervalue, a crossroad was like solid gold real estate on a battlefield, the very same as a hill. Maybe more so in some degree. A crossroad was more important. But roads, infrastructure, vital.
Yep.
To be sure.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and go 5 times here and get these boys moving. And then we've got...
Now, I'm curious.
Yeah.
Mainly because before you brought me on, truth be told, I had you on in the background while I was kind of farting around.
Thanks.
What's the context about the battle here? What do we got?
So right now, what we have done is we have smacked into a couple of Union armies. We outnumber them by about... close to 30,000 troops here. I would say the Union Army is about as big as Magruder's Corps is all by itself, maybe just a slight bit bigger. And we are near Frederick, Maryland, and they kind of came south from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania with these two armies. And what we did was pretty much we met them with our main Eastern Army that was camped around Washington, D.C. So,
and now you're positioned on the creek in a blocking position.
Yep. Now we're going to block here, and then we're going to hammer here. Probably won't worry too much about flanking up this way, except with the cavalry. Was thinking of just doing a river crossing, an assault straight forward here, but since we've got them outnumbered so bad, just to me makes more sense to try and envelop a little bit here.
Sure. Well, I mean, especially if you got the manpower advantage.
Yeah. If I can, and the problem, as is always the case, is that the enveloping force becomes quite isolated out here if it gets discovered. And can become very vulnerable to counterattack. And we'll see if that ends up happening. The AI can get pretty wise about these things in this game.
If given the right circumstances, sure.
Mm-hmm. So Whiting, again, aligning his left along the creek here, I'd say he would take his division to about, not quite like that. Not quite like that, but more like that. Okay, and then we would have Jones get the order to align on his right, almost down to the other side of the creek. All right.
Which, being as you're talking about navigation, you had that question earlier about moving along the creek bed, right?
Uh-huh.
The two flanks being in vicinity of each other would allow them to coordinate.
You would have the order, whatever the leftmost brigade or battery or regiment or what have you would, they would be like, you're going to find such and such on your left and then just align off of them, basically.
Right. And even if they can't directly see it, they'd have skirmishers or something else out there. The point being that you're not doing anything unrealistic here.
Thank you. See, this is of primary concern for me. Folks who know the stream and know the channel well know me by that. So we're going to take this division under Donaldson. Oops. No, not you. Go to your division commander, sir. Donaldson's division, and they're going to come over here.
Now, what
they'll
I will
align
do
off the right bank, just off of this road and up on this hill, just like that.
I'm gonna be right back with you, Bank. I'm gonna get myself some water.
Take your time, man. Get on. Okay, Stewart. In the meantime, he is going to mount this hill with his cavalry, and then Ewell's gonna get on the move, or Walton, that is. Beckham. He comes across and he'll just chill out right here. Back to 5 times. When we hear the guns roar, that's when we know that we might be in a little trouble. Beauregard setting his HQ up back here. I'll tell you what, I'm going to put it back on play. See what we get here. I think we'll have a nice little envelopment. We'll be coming out of the trees here. I've done this same thing playing as the Union, by the way. I was a little more aggressive about it, though, in that playthrough. I went ahead and I used these guys to begin to divert attention away from the flanking maneuver. This time, I'm just running the flank and using these guys to finish the job, I would say. So we'll attack over here first, and then we'll follow up crossing here and attacking across here. We'll probably be able to get across this ford without too much trouble at all. As a matter of fact, it'll be Vaughn's division that'll be moving first to leapfrog across and get here, get itself ready to attack up the slope from down here at the enemy, and then we'll follow likely with the rest of Magruder's wing with that. You know, I think that's a fair point in the chat there, talking about how Cold Harbor is a really great example of the southern, what maybe the southern approach could have and should have been all along. The idea being that you find focal locations, places where you know avenues of advance will converge, and then build entrenchments all around those locations, fortifications, redoubts, and force the enemy to attack them. and, commit to slaughter in doing so. I think that there you encounter, or would have encountered at the time, still the problem inherent in the culture of the military of the time, is that the idea was when you are operating against the enemy, you are better off being on the attack. I think the idea of being on the tactical defensive, being something that was both effective and honorable, was still highly questionable at this time.
Oh man!
All right, all right.
Bank, I'm really happy to see your numbers going up, dude.
Hey, all right, we need a little motion here, man. A little motion for the channel. How about it? Thank you, man. Thank you.
I've been hoping that'd work out for you.
I'll be honest with you. I wasn't very confident that it would for a pretty good long time. And I don't know. I'm sure you have paid very little attention because it's not in any business interest of yours to be doing YouTube content. But they've just announced that starting next year, they're basically going to make it twice as hard for all of the non-monetized folks to get monetized.
Why?
Yeah, well,
I guess how so?
They're going to double the requirements for time watched on Longview. So it was 4,000 public viewing hours to be considered for the YouTube partner program, as it says. And then 1,000 subscribers is still the mark that you have to hit. It's just that now instead of 4,000 hours of watching time, you need 8,000. And let me tell you, getting to 4,000 as somebody who's just trying to break in required a kind of a hustle that I don't think everybody is capable of keeping up with. I'll be honest with you. I'll be 100% honest with you about that. I could understand if there are people who are discouraged at the news. Now, these changes in the metrics don't happen until I think it's February of next year, February 1st of next year.
Sure.
So everybody who is trying to get monetized is being told, like, you better hit it. You better hit it. Man. Or you're going to lose out on the chance.
Oh.
Or I mean, not lose out, but you're gonna be up against it for the most part. So now's not the time to be lazy about it, so to speak. So what I would say, as kind of like the thank you for the encouragement that you say right there about how the numbers are growing on the channel. Because if it wasn't happening right now, boy, I'll tell you, I'm not sure if I would be spending much time on this anymore if it wasn't working out for me like it has been. So
yeah,
it feels good.
And I would understand. I would understand why.
It's just 100%. I would be doing. I hate to confirm folks who just like, oh man, he's just in it for the money or whatever. Like whatever. I guess I would. It just there's so many other, like you connect with this. There's so many other things you've got going. By the way, I want to get into some of that.
Do you?
You got a lot of projects that you're working on in the hobby space, and I've got plenty of other hobbies that I could certainly spend my time doing, and plenty of other games that I certainly would love to play. Well,
I do.
So
I do. Well, that said, Bank, I know you're aware of it because you're in the channel for it.
Mm-hmm.
But we will be doing a Kriegspiel of a version of the battle that happens in my book. Now, it's not the same because I don't want to spoil it.
Right.
The people that play in the game, they may or may not have read it, so on and so forth, by the time it comes out. So I don't want to spoil anything, but it's a version of. And Bank will be in there, and he'll be commanding a division.
Yes, it just got changed today. I should have logged the official complaint, My God, I have fewer troops now. No, I'm kidding. Of
No,
course.
actually, I gave you like three or 4,000 more.
Never mind. I was wrong. I stand corrected. I should never complain. Uh, so I,
And more guns.
yeah, I am happy to have more troops and more guns to work with. Thank you, sir.
Oh, you are welcome.
Thank you, sir. So tell us more, sir. Tell us more.
Oh, un momento.
Let's get Beckham up with his Lorenzis. He'll follow the right bank. Again, I'm limiting my cleverness, my gameplay. So these guys, they'll follow the other bank and go like up to here, like that.
I'm back. So when you have a moment, because I know, because
So yeah,
I
go,
don't
go,
want
go,
to,
go,
I
go.
don't want to detract from your stream.
Go, go,
so
go.
let's pick our moments here. I mean,
Go,
the
go,
people
go.
are here to watch you play Grand Tactician, not
Yeah,
hear
thank
me
you,
yap.
thank you. Yes, no, I'm not near fighting right now, so I think we're good. I think it's a good time to get updated on what you've got going on, man.
Okay. Well, to say more about it, basically, it's coinciding with a set of rules for tabletop wargaming in the Napoleonic era that I've been working on for several years now.
And this is
all
all
that's
stuff you're
finally
doing
coming
on your
together.
own. This is kind of cool,
Oh yeah,
man.
yeah. You know, and I really have to thank the technology and the way things work up to this point in our society, where I can self-publish things, like even board games. You can do print on demand now for those, so someone can design their own board game, and instead of having to publish it through a board game company, they can just self-publish the thing, and if people want it, they buy it, and it's print on demand. Kind of like
Okay.
Amazon KDP. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. I haven't ever worked with anything like that before. I've
Oh yeah.
actually got a family member who's interested in trying to get a board game or two published. He might want to hear more about that. I'm going to have to take some
Yeah.
notes.
So the site that I'm going with, and there's other ones. The site that I'm going with is called the Game Crafter, right? And they'll print your rule books, boards, everything. You can basically do everything through them, and you can make a complete board game with a box through that company.
That's cool.
And so I really have to thank the way it is these days, where I have the capability to do that, because beforehand you had to go through publishers and all kinds of stuff just to make something and get it out to the public.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to do that now.
I think that's great. I do think that the fewer hoops that creatives have to jump through. I think that's one of the great things about YouTube, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, you've got to get over those landmarks in terms of becoming monetized if you were trying to do that. But the fact that it's a pretty simple, like I didn't have to do a bunch of paperwork necessarily to do this thing. Kind of in there's no middlemen really. Kind of the same what you're talking about there. I think it's great that there are more of those kinds of things happening.
Oh yeah. Well, if it wasn't
folks.
for those things, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
But anyway, so before I go off meandering again, and feel free to jump in at any time. Remember, this is your stream. I don't want to take all the time up.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
But basically, the rule set kind of goes back to the Kriegspiel days, because Kriegspiel, and I know we've talked about this before, Kriegspiel was intended to be like an actual simulation for, like, it was supposed to be realistic and a simulation enough to make training valid.
Mm-hmm.
So my board game design, well, my war game design kind of goes back to those roots. It's unapologetically realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Down to casualty counts. I've done hours and hours of research and calculations, everything from the internal bursting charge of a shell of every gun ever used in the Napoleonic Wars. I have a big old table of it.
Nice.
So, which allows me to go in and assign burst blasting radius and things like that to something off of known data. I mean, on and on. Basically, what it is that my rules are not kind. So you have to. It comes in assuming that you at least know a little bit what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like other tabletop war games or even Kriegspiel, really, that someone might be used to seeing these days. It's vicious.
Always better. More realism is always good in my book.
Well, for as a little fun fact, the Turning Point mod came as a result of doing all the research that I was doing for my war game rules.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why I know so much about casualties and casualty rates, weapon accuracy, and so on is because I did that research for the rules, and then went, hey, I can make Scourge of War more realistic by doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of how it happened.
Right.
But
I would say you've told me about that whole process before. The idea that it was kind of that natural outgrowth.
Yeah.
I think that's great, man. I think that's pretty cool, really.
And the game we'll play for the version of the battle from the book is we'll be using those rules. So it's
very cool. Very cool.
It's going to be something, man. It's going to be an unapologetically realistic showing of what that fight would be like.
I love me some, and you're doing it's essentially a lore filled. What is it? Kind of like it's almost like a mix between mid 19th century and Napoleonic frost punk kind of a thing. Is that?
No, actually, it's very. I mean, I don't even know what to assign a genre to, but it's basically think Napoleonic Wars in a fictional setting.
Okay.
With fictional countries, fictional armies, that kind of thing.
Okay. And then
that's more
you're talking two pretty, like this battle is like it's almost like the culminating pivotal moment in the entire story, right, of the war.
Well, because the book is the first in a series, so that battle that happens in the book is the major battle in the book.
Yeah.
It's not the only battle in the story. I mean, there's going to be more books, but that's the one in that particular novel.
Okay. You got more to come then, huh? Okay.
Yeah. More to come.
Good man.
Eventually I want to have a big map and kind of start from the beginning of it and kind of run another Kriegspiel where it's more operational with tactical components. So guys and so players in the game can play the series story, but do it the way they would have.
I think that's cool. I can't wait for that Kriegspiel to happen, bro. You're gonna do that play by post, or are you gonna do that? How are you gonna work that Kriegspiel when it happens?
I don't know. I haven't used my rules yet in Kriegspiel, so it really depends on how the rules play.
Yeah.
I don't want to sacrifice the game mechanics and their realism, so I do what I have to do. Now, if they play fast enough for live play, cool, we'll do it that way.
Okay.
If they don't play fast enough and we kind of have to do an update every day or every other day or something like that, then that's what we do.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I think that's pretty fun, man. And I don't know. You're not talking like when. You're not talking about timeline and stuff yet, I presume, anyway.
Well, it'll happen soon enough. Right now, I've got a hypothetical battlefield that I've selected, and we're going to make a map off of that. It'll be much faster than the original way I was going to do it. The armies are designed and ready. The rules are getting put into a legible format instead of just a pile of notes.
Okay.
So it's closer than I even think it is.
All right. Very good. That's always encouraging. I would love to hear more about that when we get there. I would zip back into our current battle environment right now and
Do it.
alert you and everybody. Holy moke. While you're talking there, I just noticed there is now a blue arrow here where I either missed that there was one before or has become blue that is all up in my rear area, potentially. So, we need to get some troops out there, which we are doing, to get a little closer look what might be going on. I would say also we take Vaughn by his lonesome and ride him out there.
Your ADC is available if you need him.
Ah, yes. The aide de camp. Mr. Glau, have you any thoughts? Here we have, okay, so what you can see right here is at least one of their armies. What I'm worried about is that the other one is up here.
Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself, and I don't want to tell you how to fight it. So I guess, do you want my assessment of it?
Well, maybe not. I mean, honestly, get the heck out of here and kick rocks. No, I'm kidding, of course. Yeah, like, what do you think? What do you think? I wouldn't ask you if I didn't want it.
I think what you wanted to do initially would have worked right up until now, because now you got to worry about forces in your rear.
Possibly.
So now you have to think about changing your plan.
Well, luckily we'll have a new deployment to work with possibly, and we redeploy.
Of course, the other option is leave a rear guard force to attack what's to keep them from advancing onto your rear while you attack this force in front of you. That's the other option.
Yeah, I would take Reynolds and Vaughn, and I would bring them over this way, is what I would do from Magruder's wing. And the rest of Magruder's wing would stay put, and then we would attack aggressively with Ewell's wing. And
now, if you look at that force you have sitting right there at the river.
Here.
Yeah, ask the question, how many troops do you actually need there to hold those crossings?
Correct. Yeah, I think that it would only be to preserve chain of command. I think we could probably even take Garnett, Polk, Haygood, probably one of these larger brigades and detach it from Lawton's division. Keep all this artillery up here and even add them to kind of like a new quasi corps-sized force that can hold around here if need be. Vaughn, who continues to wish to sate his curiosity, is going to move over here a little bit further. Let's see if perhaps we're in trouble out on the flank. I'm not ready. PGT Beauregard's not ready to make his move over here until he figures out what there may or may not. See, here's the thing, is if there was something here, which I'm now doubting that there is something here, they would have moved on our flank by now, and they would have been in our rear, I think.
Depending on what forces they have, I would agree. Although you're going to have to think about the speed and tempo of the battle here, because now you have to weigh it. You know what I mean? Can I afford to wait, kind of thing.
We may need to attack, like basically get this thing started right now, is I think maybe what we're going to need to do. Let's check the condition of the troops, intact. Let's make sure we get perks taken care of if there are any. Real quick here, take a look across everybody, well rested, good, no perks yet, no big deal. All right, so no perks across Ewell's Corps, none with Donaldson. I'm pretty sure he hasn't been too awful involved in things. Stewart, what about him? No. Okay, fine. Now, we'll just order these boys forward division by division. Jones will get the first order to move forward, and he will effectively just kind of keep the river off to his right and move ahead there. All right, that order will go out. Next will be Walton, who will move ahead to the edge of the woods and in this field right here. And then next will be Whiting, who will wait for just a second. and get his order out in just a minute. Donaldson will be the last unit to come across. We're gonna get them engaged over here, have them looking this way, and then make our move with Donaldson around the flank, and the cavalry will probably bump across this. So let's go ahead with the cav. We'll stay mounted and we'll go boom, boom, and this brigade will stay put. Stewart's cav division, very small cavalry force under our command right now. Okay, now I think we've waited just about long enough, and now can send the order for Whiting to come up to here. Bonk. Just like that. And so we'll have Whiting, Walton, and Jones on the advance here, with Donaldson around the flank. Ready, Jones will be ready to close the door on these guys. I think we'll go ahead and take Reynolds and bring him forward up the rise right here.
Yes, do it.
We're coming at him. We're just going to do it, dude. And then the artillery. If I can get this, I thought they would contest this right here. Right here, all of our artillery is going to eventually be right here. What do you think about that? What do you think? That's going to be sexy, is what I think.
Oh, just have an artillery park up on the hill.
We're just going to put an artillery park up there. Guys, bring out your barbecue. And we're going to take some pot shots from the high ground.
What you need is good old howitzers, because they have the spherical case.
Oh, yeah. Let's see here. Okay, we're moving.
Which is another neat little tactical thing we can discuss later about selection of guns, how you put them into batteries, and so on and so forth. Because that's a cool discussion in itself.
I think somebody in the chat talking about how I had missed this as long as 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, I saw that. I just didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah. It's good that we have at least addressed it. Now we know. There is knowledge and not mystery. Let's send these.
One thing I do like about Grand Tactician that might grind some gamers' gears is the amount of time it takes for an army to move.
Thank you. Wargamers, they shit on this game for its realism. It's a little frustrating.
It's odd,
What do you want? Sorry. I know that's a little...
No, dramatic. I mean, you got a point.
It's definitely... either, and look, they've got the time compression right down here. If you know what you're doing, you can do it. You can play this game and have some fun. It's more realistic. Yeah, I get it. I know. When you're playing the other ones,
it goes
Total
fast.
War, Ultimate General, they move fast, and you don't have to use the roads, and cohesion doesn't break so much, and fatigue isn't as big of a factor. You can just go, and then fight, and yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I get it. I do. But I'll tell you something. What I would love to do just a little bit in life is use wargaming to actually model war. I don't know. Maybe it's just asking too much. Of course, I'm just being funny, but I think you understand how I feel there.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I've had my fair share of being frustrated at, Kriegspiel games, video games, some tabletop games, for a similar reason. It's like, what kind of game do you want, kind of thing,
This is like, I think that, tabletop gaming, I know in my own experience, has been at times a perfect example of a player you're just never going to make people happy. you're going to make the game realistic, and then they're not going to like the outcomes that come, and then they're going to start questioning is it too realistic? Like, oh, it's too realistic. Like, oh my God, come on, man.
Well, I mean,
more realistic.
That's the point as a developer or a designer, where you just accept the fact that your game's not for everyone. And it also makes the point that you shouldn't try to make it for everyone.
I think that's a fair thing to say. I do. I think, I get it. There's a business aspect to the thing. You want to have appeal be broadened. That generally is a good thing. Like, I understand.
Well, it makes sense if you're like a multi-billion-dollar development company like Activision, because you want to make all that money back, right?
Yeah. You're spending a lot of money to make a game. Plenty.
Yeah, it takes some of them, especially the AAA games that we're used to seeing on the market. I mean, some of those are like $200 million to make.
Oh yeah, for sure. It ain't cheap. It ain't cheap to do it.
And a lot of it is they want to make all their money back. I mean, a gamer might complain that, man, they're dumbing this game down or changing it to make it, playable for the largest audience possible. But that's intentional because they want to make all the money back.
They are running a business, and so here's where you'll go. Okay, you got to give credit where credit's due for those franchises that understand that you're gonna make some pretty good money on a nice little bit of what I like to call battle sugar. You can jump into the game real quick. Yeah, you can go ahead and get yourself involved in like a sort of immersive little campaign playthrough. You're going to jump into some real arcadey feeling kind of battle environments that are real, like nice, quick.
Oh, yeah. Total War is good for that.
And it works. It works. I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
And it does trip the trigger. I mean, you get that rush because it plays fast. You're in and out, and boom. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just.
But this is not that kind of game.
This isn't that game. This is a. I would argue. I believe that this is really more of like a mill sim. Or
there you go.
Meant to be approached like it's a military simulation. And to help you learn a little bit more about the way this stuff, or learn a little bit more about how these things went down in the real
100%.
deal.
Yeah, which is one of the goals of my tabletop design.
I love it.
I want people not just, which would, it's one of the, you need to understand how these things were actually fought.
How are you going to fully appreciate the history of the thing when all you're doing is just playing an arcade about it? When it comes to how gaming can contribute to that, because I believe that it can. I wouldn't be doing this otherwise.
Which, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not going to rag on the games that try to make them more arcadey. I mean, there's just some times where I want to sit down and throw down in a battle and just call it good.
Agreed. 1,000% agreed. Like I love me some battle sugar sometimes. I really do.
Oh yeah.
I have no problem with that whatsoever. But keep going.
I mean, that's basically it, man. I mean, and for rules like mine, I mean, if you don't know how the battles operate, the rules are going to teach you how they operate.
Right. Oh, here we go.
Because you're going to... Oh.
Okay, we got the Yanks turning to face now. Part of their army is going to come at us.
Oh, one of your viewers did mention that the hill where you're going to put your artillery, that was the original Union position, and they redeployed off of the hill.
Okay, all right. Here they come with some cavalry. Going to challenge my infantry out in that area. I'd say we could go ahead and pull the guns forward now. Let's do this. Let's take these.
Is that a creek crossing or a bridge?
Here, Ford.
Oh.
Go. Double quick.
That's going to be gnarly for your artillery.
That's going to take them a minute. Yeah. I hope it's not too much trouble. Oh, they're going to cross there. Okay, fine. These guns. Come on. Okay, it's going to take these boys some time. That once we get those guns in place, we're going to be in good shape. I do believe.
You know, there it is with Admiral Mura, if I know how to pronounce that guy's last name, you know, the Napoleonics. He mentioned Take Command 2. He mentioned Take Command 2, and that's 100% accurate, man. Take Command 2 is still one of my favorites.
Great game. Yeah, absolutely, man. Take Command 2 was basically the first time I played something that was better than Total War, pretty much, like is the way that I'll say it. In terms of giving me the historical simulation experience that I was looking for. Oh, shit!
Yep. Oh, so they are back there.
They are over there! Oh, shit!
Rear guard action and throw everything you got at them.
Oh, shit! Oh. Those tricky bastards! Those tricky bastards!
This is one of those times where I wish the name of this
let's
game...
throw some skirmishers out here. Thank goodness we had these troops here. Okay, these guys, they need to come over. This is a whole Yankee army over here, I think. Mouton. Polk, we're going to need you. Oh my gosh, look at how these Yanks have played this. Longstreet, let's have you come on out right up here. Boom, and unlimber. Start shooting. Vaughn's division, he was the one who was suspicious out here of all this mumbo jumbo. Oh my goodness. Okay, Garner's going to have to come around. He'll come to here. Oh no. One's broken. Stafford is wounded. Brigade broken. Oh. Vaughn's division surprised out here, by God. We're too close to the enemy to get skirmishers out. Okay, we did send their skirmishers running. They got another division coming. Bear here is going to redeploy to right there for starters. Whoo! Alright, we might have staved off a disaster here. I would say Haygood can turn around. Why not? Get to the edge of these woods. Greg.
I mean, honestly, Ben, you can probably abandon that whole blocking position and just throw everything.
Yeah, I agree. Just bring everybody.
And I mean, really go at them. You know, don't give them a chance to stabilize the position.
Yeah, I'm going to have Whiting jump on an assault order over here. We're going to have Walton jump on an assault order here. Ewell's whole corps is going to get these orders right here. Reynolds, screen while we get these guns set up. All right, we've got a couple of batteries that have gone up on the hill. This evening attack. By God, let's do some counter battery fire all across the line here if we can. With those two batteries, that's good. Perfect. So you got the Yanks dividing their force, risking it all in hopes of achieving a victory here on this first night of the battle, this first evening. Wow.
Oh, sounds like a case of, dang, they got here too late.
I got a feeling like, yeah, I think... Oh my gosh! No! Yankee artillery runs Hebert's troops. Why are they broken? Oh my God. Okay, they're going to go back to Beauregard. Beauregard, get on a rally, my man. Here we go. Oh, so here's a case where Grand Tactician AI, which gets, again, shit on all the time, then you're going... Hey, what about this?
Right.
What? I mean, it's not like it proves anything one way or the other, but you're going, but what about this? Is all. You know?
Oh, sure enough.
It's like, yeah, it's better than you think.
I mean, honestly, man, it's every game is going to have the strengths and weaknesses, and it's all going to be situational.
Yep. 1,000%, 100%, 100,000%.
I mean, the AI may be crap in this situation, but on this other one, it's doing great.
Now, what they didn't do well, I think, is coordinate this thing over here. Let's come on back. Let's get. So yeah, they just came into a meat grinder over this way. They've got one brigade that's out this way that's scaring me a little bit. Longstreet's guns are going to open up on them. Boom. Boom. Good. Woo! This battle, Northern Maryland, Southern Pennsylvania.
Man, it just kind of kicked off all of a sudden, didn't it?
Here we go. This afternoon, evening fight. Gotta hope we're not here. So we're gonna reform with Jones' troops. He's not too pleased, it seems, with the way the battle line is looking right here. So he's gonna change things up a bit. Got these other batteries out. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and start firing on these guys. Let's bring these guns right here. I so love that. See that on the right? Oh shit! So what did they do? They must have come onto the map and then come over to here and
then turned in
and then moved through the woods. Wow. See? How smart is that? Like, and they're coming downhill too?
If you wanted the covered approach, they definitely had it.
So, and I never saw their dust over here. Never even thought to look for it. It's crazy, man. Crazy.
Well, let that be a lesson to you, sir, on how important it is to
Yes.
have your eyes and ears out across the battlefield.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Never get overconfident in this thing, baby. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing ends up being like, you know, quite a few more casualties on my side than I would have guessed that there would be. Oh, looky here. Pemberton's brigade is going to be ordered to push forward. Oof. With his Augustin rifled muskets, he's going to take it in the teeth.
Then they had another brigade show up at an angle on their flank. Ooh.
Yeah, right here, baby. We're going to advance with these boys. Go. Come on. You want to do it. I know you do. I know you do. Okay, I guess not. Lomax is not down with an advance command there. I may be because he's under AI orders. But you've got new AI order out to these cannons under Cutshaw to form up on the open right there. Little eye in the sky commentary for the battle here as things move forward. We let the AI take command of a bunch of different things. We're heading into the evening time. Holy smokes. What are we going to get? We do have this one Yankee corps over here that's going to fight us hard in the woods, I think. It'd be best to try to overwhelm them with the rest of Ewell's troops here. There we go. That works for me. Good. He's going to keep these guys back. All right, got the artillery blasted. This all looks good. You kind of have three separate fights. One in the center, one on the far left, one over here on the far right. Try and survey across the battlefield. We've got some artillery here that's kind of been left out. Let's bring them. And say, okay, we've shored up the line on this side. We can go ahead. Let's get on this fence for now. And they're now kind of trapped back into these woods where they came from. Whew! I think we have managed to save this situation here. Here we go, here we go. For what? Donaldson's division. Let's have this brigade come here. This brigade come in behind. Oops, nope. Just keep going where we were. Law, come in behind.
Let's all take note on how long this actually takes to fight a battle.
That's right. So again, we're kind of talking back about that. Is they're trying to make it realistic, representative, and one thing you would know better than me about Grau is because you were in the military. Is that I think I'm right when I say that there is a whole lot of boredom, punctuated at times by absolute terror when it comes to, you know, the guys who get up there and get in the shit, so to speak.
Look, it's hurry up and wait. You hurry up to go somewhere, and then you stay there for like 4 hours.
Yeah, right. And then it's hurry up and wait to the next place. And then it's hurry up and wait to the next place.
And then all of a sudden, everything happens at once.
And then all of a sudden, combat. And, you know, it's combat for an hour, half hour, an hour, a lot of time, for any one soldier probably, or sailor or what have you. And it's like, it's absolute freaking terrifying for that time period.
You know, other guys would be able to answer that better than I would. I can understand it in concept. I didn't see combat myself. But
I know that's what I've heard from those who have been there, who were willing to at least share that much about it. It's like, dude, you're fighting boredom half the time, if not more than half the time.
I mean, I can speak to the boredom.
Yeah. Now, you know, I think there would be some, you know, there might not be entirely accurate, like you're talking about along the front lines, like in Ukraine right now. The way I understand the nature of how that's going is it's like freaking World War I all over again over there, kind of thing.
Yeah, in a way. But to kind of roll back around to, this is what I was actually trying to say with how long it takes to fight this battle, is that it's not like it's a flash in the pan, because
right.
we're thinking to ourselves, oh, you know, we need to hit them hard and fast. Okay, well, hard and fast compared to what? You know, I mean, this is hard and fast when it comes to actually how long maneuver takes, how long it takes for orders to be delivered.
Yeah.
You know, this is fast.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's something that's also a little. It gets lost sometimes. Is you got to understand what fast was in this period. I think we're just going to let these AI generals keep on keeping on over in these areas, and then probably micro this thing. Let's take those guns. Let's grab those guns. And then we're just going to hammer these. Uji needs to back up. There we go. There we go, gentlemen. Enemy is on the retreat. It's official. It's official. Fantastic. Okay, so we we nearly got schnookered there, but not quite. Not quite.
I mean, you have the reserves in your positions back there to extend and do an development.
Yep. So let's just keep moving forward with these guys. Look at all these troops, my God.
You know, that's one thing I can say about Grand Tactician. I like that it has the courier system, and then it takes a long time for orders to get there, but it could really do with the Scourge of War treatment, where if you give an order to a regiment or a brigade, it comes from the next officer up, instead of, you know, the player being the high commander. The courier, it treats, like the game treats it as an order from the brigade commander or something like that, and the courier comes from them instead of from the top general.
I'm not sure, but I think we may have a disagreement, but let me clarify. I like the way that Scourge of War handles order delays, in that when I just did that, with Garnett, it's going to depend on the order coming from Lawton, the division commander, as if he is the one who spotted the opportunity and sent a courier over to Lawton, the brigade commander, to do that move. I like that. I do not like as much the idea that in order to move Garnett, the order would come from Beauregard to Magruder to then Lawton to then Garnett. I don't believe that a move such as this would be...
Well, the latter that you just said, I thought was the way the Grand Tactician...
No, it does not. That's good we clarified.
See, that's a misunderstanding. Okay, we're good.
So the way Grand Tactician does it is when you are microing by the brigade, every single time, you see that little arrow line right there that's moving? That is the indicator that a courier is on his way from the next superior commander to that brigade to issue the order and then get the brigade on the move.
Okay, so that is how it treats it. Good. Well, it should be doing that.
And then when you move a division, then that same thing is happening, only the order is coming from the corps commander.
Right. Yeah, which is the right way to do it. Right, because it treats it as if the division, even though the order comes from the player, it treats it as if it came from the division.
Yes.
Yep.
And so we will put this unit, this Union Army to a rout, these two Union armies, without too much trouble here. And
yeah, you're gonna have yourself a victory. It's about 8 o'clock.
Victory to highlight the stream with here. The East, too. How about that? I see you there, Beeper, man. I see you. Yeah. Tunnel vision, but caught it just in time. Always just in time. Just call me just in time Bank 60s. We're always aware, baby.
What does some wargamers say? I'd rather be lucky than good.
I'd rather be lucky than good. And so, sometimes I like to think I make my own luck.
There it is.
And by the way, should I complain to Grau about having not alerted me to that faster? About the arrow being blue? I don't know. Maybe. No, I'm kidding.
Well, to be fair, I didn't even see it until you pointed it out. And I went,
okay. Very well. I thought I heard you say that you saw it before me. I was not hearing right.
And to be honest, Bank, you know this game better than me. Even if I did see it, it probably wouldn't have occurred to me.
Necessarily yeah. Oh my God! Look at that. So they did. I don't love that casualty count for us there. But I do love 8,500 of 33,000 for the Yanks. That's fantastic. We're at so just about every battle going through the campaign here, we've been basically 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 on casualties in our favor. That's been good.
Well, if you can keep that casualty ratio, you're probably going to do all right.
I have a feeling I'm probably going to do all right. I'm probably going to do all right.
I mean, what you don't want is, because there are historians that would say, the high casualties for the Army in Northern Virginia was the South's price for having Robert E. Lee.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
I mean, as good as Robert Lee was, I mean, let's be honest, he did get a lot of men killed.
I think, too, that goes back to the whole conversation about whether or not they should have gone with the entrenchments and the defensive and that throughout the entire war. I'm not sure if PGT Beauregard or if Jackson. I mean, Jackson
was more aggressive than Lee was.
There's an argument about that, but they are in the same. Their hearts felt the same way about things, and so could you also turn around and look at Jackson, point at him, and say he probably would have gotten guys killed just as much or more so?
Oh well, he did. Oh yeah, he did.
5,000 rifles and 9 guns taken from the battlefield. I will take that.
Nice.
Woo!
Got yourself a nice little payday.
Woo!
Especially the guns, man.
Nice. I wonder if they're good guns. We'll see. We're back up to double B plus now. Don't know how.
Is that your credit rating?
That's my credit rating, yeah. You got to pay it. See, now there you go. Now there is a war simulation. A war, and so that's the piece about Grand Tactician that I continue to just howl about in a good way, is that the economic simulation, the fact that you're maintaining a credit rating, okay, it's back to B plus, damn it, is, to me, awesome. I freaking love it. I freaking love it. If you're gonna have people play a war game, have them play a damn war game. Is what I say.
I like it from as a war gamer. I like it. As a player, I don't want to have to deal with it. Just do it automatically.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know. I know. So many people would agree. I'm like, come on, man. I don't want to have to do all of it.
I'm not saying don't include it. I'm saying do it automatically so I don't have to.
So now that allows for me to talk a little bit about one of the other things I do love about the game. It's the idea that you can change the settings to auto-manage a whole lot of this stuff and keep yourself from having to deal with the Oh, shit. Okay, we got into a fight with this fort down here. Okay, we don't really want that. I guess we'll handle. I mean, if we can take that fort with the Army of the Northwest, I'm for it. And I see now the Army of Northeastern Virginia may still be on the move towards us. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me with only 10,500 troops. Maryland is ours, boys. Maryland is ours.
Did you take West Virginia?
Nope.
Is that what that is? West Virginia, or is that just for... No, that's just... Never mind.
We still have Charleston, but they took Grafton and Wheeling. And hold sway there still. All right. Still. I think before I end tonight's stream, by God, I really do. I want to get to this upgrade of this iron mine. That'll be something I'm really looking forward to. Big time.
Get that money.
Oh, yeah. Need a new POW camps. Okay. How much would one of those cost, though? Let's go to our buildings. 10.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. These are the kind of elements in a war game I wouldn't want to have to deal with.
2.2 million. Yeah. So let's put this prison camp. Let's put it somewhere particularly bleak. Out west. Let's put it just outside Houston. Not to say that Houston is bleak or anything, but you know, it's the far west. It's way out here. Prison camp. New prison camp.
Oh, by the way, man, thanks for having me on, man. I was just kind of doing my thing, and I was like, oh, hey, Bank wants to chat.
You got it, man. Hey, man, you. This is the treatment you get. You come join in, man. You go to. So that's a plug for the Grognard level. Look, I don't expect anybody. I do not expect anybody to jump in for 20 a month. 20 a month? Are you kidding me? And so if you jump in for 20 a month, and I've got you on Discord, well, oh my God, you're maybe going to get an invite to jump on via voice. So let that be a plug for anybody else out there who might be interested in upgrading to the Grognard level membership. Otherwise, plugging memberships in general, at $2 you become a recruit, more of a leader in the community. I can see what you're saying better, and I will respond to your comments in all videos and VODs in the future. I also will do the best I can to call your name out in the chat when you chime in. When you're a veteran member at $5 a month, you then get access to what I call my Battle Epic Video Vault, as well as I think of a few of my former U-boat campaigns. And basically, you just get access to all that exclusive content. And there's a whole like 30, 40 hours worth of stuff that you could binge through, especially in the 19th century warfare vein. I've got a ton of Scourge of War content that's members only, and you'll have a whole lot of fun watching all of that. That was back when I was still just kind of poking around, doing this as more of a hobby than trying to make money on it. Just a little time go by. And I think our next action likely is out west. Did it call it Red Walls? Let me check. What did it call it? What's it going to be called? Okay, it's not named yet. It hasn't opened yet. So we'll build a new prison camp. Let's check. The last time I looked, I think both of our prison camps that were level 2 are just about full. Yep, this one is. Okay, then we've got another one down, what, near Natchez, I think. Yep, right here. All right, so not quite full. So it's good that we're... Here was another thing. If I just whole hog parole a whole bunch of the prisoners in our prison camps, I wonder if that would drop state support, because it would be seen as a merciful move or something. Interesting ideas. Okay, I would say we can go ahead and take Ewell and everybody at this point. Let's just have Ewell kind of just scooch. Don't take the trains or anything. How are we doing down here? Not great.
Oh, good.
Not great. See, look at how far over we are here, man. Holy moly, we are winning this thing right now. This is kind of cool.
Did you get my message? My phone had died. Sorry. Like right in the middle of you saying something, it just, boop, I'm done.
Charge your phone, bro. Just kidding.
Although I did want to clarify about the grognard, right? I didn't do it because I wanted the perk. I did it because Bank is my buddy.
Guys. Thanks, man. Thank you, sir. I love it. I love it. Let's abandon this depot. I mean, the fact, look, man, the fact that a guy who was a friend would want to financially support something of mine is also not exactly a common thing, generally speaking. So. Yeah,
I just wanted to clarify.
As I say, there is just more respect. There becomes more respect. A man who earns comes in here and wants to lay down some money for what I'm doing here. I'm like, baby, let's get married. Let's get married.
I don't know about that.
Know what I'm talking about?
Nah, it's if there are a bunch of other viewers that get the grognard, man, prioritize them. Don't feel like you need to bring me on just because I'm grognard.
Well, if we end up getting, like, it'd be cool if we ended up having a chat room full of guys that were just chiming in here and there. I mean, we'd have to watch it. It might get too crowded, too loud. Okay, we got industrialization 1. Okay. Yeah, government to fund the industry. Yep, absolutely. So politicians are supporting the Industrial Revolution. I don't love it. Part of why I wanted to play this campaign the way we're playing it is to see how well the South can do without embracing industrialization, but I just don't think it's feasible.
Is that like the meta of Grand Tactician as the South, industrialize?
I think you just don't have a choice. If you're gonna win by 1862, I think you got to do industrialization heavy. I think that as the South, in order to last beyond 1864 and win that way, I think you have to industrialize. At the very least, I think that as the South, you end up compelled to finish a couple of key railroads, thereby further industrializing the South. You know, the folks who make the argument that the South would not have been able to stay the way that it was before the war in order to win the war, you know, they've got a point to make about something like that. For sure.
I mean, it depends how they fight it. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
For instance, I'll use just a quick for instance as it relates to that, and that is that the South fighting for states' rights, right? Yeah, well, okay, the Southern government during the Civil War probably was more apt to do power grabs and centralize power than the Union government was, or let's just say enough so to really come across as pretty hypocritical as it relates to that whole states' rights thing. The central government of the South during the Civil War made huge non-states' rights kinds of moves. The draft, for instance.
I mean, that's a long conversation.
And then there was, you know, impressment, requisitioning of civilian goods. I mean, you could even look through some of the policy and project trees of the game in here to kind of inform a little bit. Propaganda, by the way, farm mechanization is something we're going to need to. So we're at 6.28 million industry. Let's bring this to 7. And then
are you occupying Washington, D.C.?
Yes. Yes, I have been occupying Washington, D.C. for a good little bit in the playthrough here. Check it out.
Okay, well, you basically just won the war with that.
So that's just it. Now the Lincoln and the Union cause, I would believe they probably would fall back to Philadelphia, most likely.
I mean, they might even, at this point, they might even impeach him if that happened historically.
If D.C. had been taken. Maybe so, maybe so. Let's go ahead.
I mean, he would definitely be voted out.
DC goes down. We burnt it. Probably burnt it to the ground. Now I wonder, you got the Army of New England here to add to these others. If they gather all of their strength together around Baltimore and attack my Army of Virginia with everything, could be an interesting little fight there. We'll revert to the defensive around Maryland right there. Let that play.
Yeah, how have you not already won after taking D.C.? That's my question.
Well, the presumption is, based on our, this is kind of pointing toward the conversation we had early on in my stream when you jumped on about how resolved Lincoln was to stay in it. The presumption is, in this game anyway, that it would have taken more, and it's not the only game to have that, by the way. There's another fun board game called the US Civil War that kind of takes the same tack.
Yeah, you did a playthrough of that on your channel. I saw the
part of one.
Yeah.
So here we go. The Army of New England comes into contact with us here. 18,000 strong in 19. So they're making some desperate moves here, the AI is. I mean, they're doing something. I figured they'd get some help in the form of the Army of Northeastern Virginia. But here it is. Edward Ord comes forward now. I believe he was out west at one other point.
Yeah, here comes... Oh, they're taking the train.
So Beauregard will be fighting Ord, and I think we'll even be on defense in this next battle. Ooh, interesting. Interesting indeed. What if we deployed to defend? What'll that do? Okay, they're still going to be coming. Fine. All right, so we'll be playing this next battle. Bam. All right, all right. However, I will say, would hate to disappoint anybody here, but I think that's going to have to bring it into the stream tonight, gentlemen. We're running late. Sorry, guys. I appreciate everybody who stuck in tonight. We are a little bit late into it. My man Grau, who has joined in, that's so huge that you were willing to share your time, brother. Thank you for doing so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no worries, man.
I'm sure we will have you on once again. We'll be back to streaming, but it's going to be Thursday night. It's going to be a different game, everybody watching here in the chat. Veterans Napoleonic Wars is out with a new gameplay update that they gave me access to, so I figured, look, we haven't done that one in quite a long time. Let's go ahead and jump on stream and let's get a little more gameplay in with this new, highly anticipated Napoleonic Wars product, Veterans Napoleonic Wars. We'll do that on Thursday. It's the Egypt campaign there in this game that they continue to develop. I look forward to doing that. But, of course, after we get through all of that, Battle Sugar, we'll jump back into Grand Tactician in our next live playthrough coming up here at Alternate History Gaming. I am Bank60s, your humble and gracious player host, thanking you as always, reminding you to hit that thumbs up button for me. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the notification bell to find out the next time I drop a stream, VOD, or video for you. And, of course, get here the next time. We'll have a lot of fun.